أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على حبيبنا وشفيعنا وملاذنا وقرة عيوننا محمد صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه في الأولين وصل وسلم وبارك عليه في الآخرين وصل وسلم وبارك عليه في الملأ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, to Him we belong and to Him we shall return. We ask Allah Jalla Jalaluhu in His infinite wisdom and boundless mercy to send an abundance of prayers and peace upon our beloved Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy upon us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy upon our parents. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy upon this ummah and to relieve the hardships and the pains of this ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon our brothers and sisters in Syria and Palestine, in Burma, in China, in Africa, and all across the world. May Allah relieve and alleviate their pains. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove the hardships from upon us all. My dear brothers and sisters, many a times when we come to think about our own religiosity, and by that I mean when we come to think about what does it mean to be a religious person, a good Muslim, very often the discussion is a very personal one. So I begin to think about my own personal prayers, or my personal fasts, or my zakah, or I think about my sins, the specific sin that I'm doing, or tawbah, or the state of my heart, or hajj, or a whole slew of very personal endeavors that I myself are engaging in. And so when we think about, am I a good Muslim, we think about something that has to do with the self. And there is no doubt that that is a critical conversation that each and every single one of us should have. We have to have a self-muhasabah, accountability where we're holding ourselves to account. However, coupled with this is a very critical question that I think goes very unnoticed in terms of what it means to be a good servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what it means to be someone who truly follows in the footsteps of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When we dig deep into our tradition, we'll find something distinctly unique. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in a hadith which is narrated to us, where it says, جاء رجل إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. A man came to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. فقال يا رسول الله أي الناس أحب إلى الله وأي الأعمال أحب إلى الله. Now I want you to pay very close attention. The question that's being asked is about a very high station with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The maqam of hubb, the station of Allah's love for us. And so we know from the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as he tells us, إِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ عَبْدًا نَادَى جِبْرِيلٌ. This is just to indicate to us what we're actually talking about here. The maqam of hubb, the station of hubb. إِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ عَبْدًا نَادَى جِبْرِيلٌ. فقال يا جبريل إني أحب فلان فأحبه. Oh Jibreel, I love so and so, so love him. ثم ينادي جبريل أهل السماء فيقول يا أهل السماء إن الله يحب فلان فأحبوه. O dwellers of the skies, Allah loves so and so, so love him. ثم يوضع له القبول في الأرض. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places acceptance for this person on earth. This is the station that we're talking about. Okay? Now listen to the response of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس. Allahu Akbar. The most beloved of people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are the ones who bring the most benefit to people. That's the most beloved person to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it kind of shifts our mindsets in terms of what does it mean to actually be a good Muslim? Yes, it's a matter of our prayers and whether we're sinning or not, in our fasting, in the state of our hearts. These are all critical questions. But coupled with that is the other. How much benefit do I bring to others? Because it's a matter of what? A matter of attaining Allah's love. وَأَيُّ الْأَعْمَالِ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ. And which actions are the most beloved to Allah? أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. سرور تدخله على مسلم. Happiness that you bring to a Muslim. أو تكشف عنه كربة, or that you remove from upon a person a hardship. أو تقضي عنه دينا, or that you pay off a debt. أو تطرد عنه جوعا, or you rid this person of hunger. The four actions that are most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are what? Actions that have to do with others, with other people, right? Your mother, you have to be concerned about bringing happiness into your mother's heart, not hardship. Not you are the greatest source of your mother's heart's anguish, but rather you are the greatest source of her happiness. Sururun tudkhilhu ala qalbi Muslim. Happiness that you bring into a Muslim's heart, that when you walk around your community, you think to yourself, how many people can I bring happiness to their hearts? By simply giving them a smile. By simply saying, Assalamu alaikum brother, Assalamu alaikum sister, I never met you. I go to communities time and time again, and always I hear, I've been praying in this masjid for 20 years, and I've been seeing this brother, and I don't even know his name. 20 years I've been seeing this brother, he comes and prays, and I come and pray, I don't even know their name. How do we have accessibility to one another to bring happiness to their hearts? Or to remove a hardship from somebody else? Brothers and sisters, in our community we have a lot of people who are struggling. And our community is a very good community, by the way. And there are very beautiful faces in the audience here. And I am sure if I came to any of you and said, there's a brother right now who's struggling to feed his children, every single person will rush and say, I'll do whatever it takes. But the question is, how much do we make it accessible for ourselves to serve in that way? Because we are disconnected from others. We don't connect with others' hearts. We don't connect with others' minds. We're not in tune with one another. So our abilities to bring surur, happiness to others, is limited. Our ability to pay off someone's debt. If you knew that someone has a serious debt that will lead them into a serious hardship for their family, kick them out of their house, and you knew it was $500 or $1,000, I know at least dozens of people in the audience today who would rush to do it. If you make yourself accessible for that, then you are on the path of attaining the greatest status, and that is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ continues to say in this hadith, لَأَنْ أَمْشِيَ مَا أَخِي لِي فِي حَاجَةٍ لَهُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ مِنْ أَنْ أَعْتَكِفْ فِي مَسْجِدِ هَذَا شَهْرًا. That for me to go and help my brother or my sister in a hardship that they have is more beloved to me than to make i'tikaf in my masjid, al-Masjid al-Nabawi, for an entire month. Think about making i'tikaf in the last 10 months of Ramadan, 10 nights of Ramadan, and how hard that is. And what we're being taught by the Prophet is, go out, one simple endeavor, go shovel your brother's snow, who you know is elderly, or someone who is a single mother who has no one to really help her, and you have it in your mind to rush out and shovel that snow for that person. That's more beloved to the Prophet ﷺ than making i'tikaf in his masjid for a month. Brothers, the accessibility to attain Allah's love is at our fingertips. And it's a matter of our iman and our Islam, by the way. Because we'll come to see in a moment a profound example of this. But lastly, in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, وَمَنْ مَشَى, this is a beautiful gift, and this is a beautiful glad tiding for us. وَمَنْ مَشَى مَعَ أَخِيهِ فِي حَاجَةٍ حَتَّى أَثْبَتَهَا لَهُ. If you go with your brother or your sister, and you fulfill their need until you make sure that their entire need is fulfilled. Not that you just got them started, like you gave them a little bit, but you finished their entire need. أَثْبَتَ اللَّهُ قَدَمَهُ عَلَى الصِّرَاطِ يَوْمَ تَزِلُّ فِيهِ الْأَقْدَامِ. That Allah will make your feet and my feet, بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, steadfast on the sirat, right? On that challenging moment when we know the sirat is razor thin, and feet are going to be slipping off. The Prophet teaches us and he promises us that if you help your brother, Allah will ensure that your feet are firm on the sirat when the feet will be slipping. So brothers and sisters, clearly helping others goes beyond that simple extension of philanthropy, that I just kind of help someone out of the goodness of my heart. For Muslims, helping others and serving others is not something that I do when I have time, or something I do, as others like to say, because it makes me feel good. That's not why you help others in Islam. In Islam, we help others because it's part and parcel of what it means to be a Muslim. what it means to be a servant of Allah. To realize our servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to be people of service to others. And one of the most beautiful companions in this regard was Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. One time the Prophet ﷺ is sitting with the companions early in the morning, right after Fajr. He says, "Man asbaha minkum sa'iman?" Who woke up this morning fasting? Abu Bakr raises his hand. "Man minkum masha fi janaza?" Who walked in a funeral procession? Abu Bakr raises his hand. "Man at'ama miskinan?" Abu Bakr raises. Who fed a hungry person? Abu Bakr raises his hand. "Man 'ada minkum maridan?" Who visited a sick person? Abu Bakr raises his hand. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. And so the Prophet ﷺ says, "Majtama'na fi ahadin hatta adkhalahu Allahu al-jannah." That when these qualities are found in a person, Allah guarantees Jannah for that person. Subhanallah. So the companions were confused. And they said, "Ya Rasulullah, how is Abu Bakr able to do all of this? I mean, it's early in the morning, and he's already walked in a funeral procession, and he's already went and visited a sick person, and he's already fed someone who was hungry." So the Prophet gave them the secret sauce of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. He says, "مَا سَبَقَكُمْ بِكَثِيرِ صَلَاةٍ وَصِيَامٍ." Abu Bakr didn't outdo you with his prayer and his fast. He's actually similar to you guys in your prayers and fast. وَلَكِنْ سَبَقَكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ وَقَرَ فِي قَلْبِهِ. However, he outdid you with something that settled in his heart, and that was Iman. So what does this teach us? That the true manifestation of Iman is you wake up thinking to yourself, where can I be of service to others? That's what Iman means. When you wake up in the morning, it's not about my payment, my mortgage payment, my car payment, my this, my kids, my things, my wants, my desires, I, me, and I. It's about who can I help today? And Abu Bakr, by the way, one of the most beautiful things about him, when he first entered into Islam, all he knew was La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. Immediately after entering into Islam, what did he start to do? Free slaves. That's the immediate action he took. Because he immediately understood a Muslim means you serve. And so he started to free slaves of all types. And all of them were weak. And they were beaten. And they were the ones that were oppressed. They were quote unquote useless slaves. And so his father, Abu Quhafa, says, "Abu Bakr, okay, thank you for freeing all these slaves, but perhaps you can free a slave or a few slaves that will bring us benefit. All of the slaves that you're freeing are weak." So Abu Bakr said to his father, "I'm not freeing them so that they can serve me. I am freeing them so that I can realize my servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I'm freeing. Because my duty is to serve others." Brothers and sisters, these are precisely the questions that I want you and I collectively to think about when it comes to being a good Muslim. How does that manifest itself in my day-to-day life? So each and every single one of us, we have to be thinking very constructively in this regard. That I know, for example, that this was a serious winter. It was a very harsh winter. We know for a fact for our brothers and sisters in Syria, and we sent them blankets and we sent them foodstuffs, and that was wonderful. But even in our own backyards, we know people who were sleeping on the street, people who froze to death on the streets of the US. How many of us rushed to our cabinets, in our cupboards, in our closets, and took out blankets? We have dozens of blankets in our homes, pillows. How many of us put them in our own trunks, in our car? I'm talking to myself before anyone here. And said, "You know what, I'm going to go out tonight, and I'm going to look for people on the street and give them a blanket. Give them a pillow. I know that I have 20 boxes of macaroni. I don't need all that. I can go and give half of that away. Myself, I don't have to wait for an organization to come to the masjid and beg you for $10 or $1,000. I don't have to do that. I can say, you know what? I have in my own home plenty of opportunities for me to realize my servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that I can attain Allah's hubb, Allah's love." This manifests itself, how? And this is specifically for children. And by the way, everyone here is a child. At the end of the day, everyone here is a child of a parent. When your parent comes to you and says, "Son, daughter, do this for me," you don't say, "How come you always come and ask me?" And you don't ask my brother or my sister. That's not the response of someone who wants to follow in the footsteps of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The response should be, "I'll do it. And you know what? Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you. Thank you, Father, thank you, Mother, for giving me that opportunity." Because we all too often, we complain about our parents. And it's such a burden. But brothers and sisters, that is so alien to the Islamic tradition, I can't even begin to explain to you how. For a believer, for someone who understands what the Prophet was saying, the believer says, I want to be the first to serve in this way. You know, I'll give you an example of a friend of mine in Egypt. When I was overseas for all those years, I had a very close friend of mine whose mother was horrible to him. I have never seen a mother who was so bad to her child. And he was in his 40s. She would curse him, yell at him. She would take money from him and give it to his other brothers. She was horrible. But all he did, and all he was concerned about, was making sure that he served her. So much so, and he was financially strapped. He brought her from her village, and he said, you come, and I'll rent a small apartment so that I can take care of you day to day. And he would always come to me crying about the harshness of his mother. And then she died. And wallahi al-azim, every single time we drove by her apartment, he'd start crying. I'd say, you know, she was so bad to you. She never treated you nice. He said, but you know what? Every once in a while she would make dua for me. And if I can just have that dua one more time, wallahi, I would pay anything to have it. Brothers and sisters, that's a man who understood what it meant to be connected to other people, especially our family. The Prophet ﷺ says that you go and you take care of your family. When the Prophet came down from Ghar Hira, terrified, right, because of the revelation, he saw Jibreel, and it was very hard for him. Khadija embraced him, and she said to him, don't fear, Allah will never disgrace you. And what did she say to him? You visit your family, you take care of your relatives. You're a man who removes hardship from others. You are someone who takes care of the needy. You are someone who does this, and you walk with your brother and sister in their needs. Allah will never disgrace you. She knew this without even, just revelation had just come. And she knew that as long as the Prophet was a man who took care of others, Allah will never disgrace him. Brothers and sisters, this is what I want us to consider for ourselves. As communities, we have to think about the projects that we are doing for ourselves. Alhamdulillah, we're building our schools, we have our religious programming, our talks, or so on. But as a community, we have to come collectively in terms of bringing and pulling our resources together as individuals and our money and everything that we have, and think about how much service are we bringing to our community. I'll close this khutbah with one story. The Prophet ﷺ, just to see how powerful service can be. The Prophet ﷺ was on the outskirts of Mecca, and he was walking back towards the city center. There was an elderly woman, she had some belongings. So the Prophet ﷺ said to her, let me help you. She said, oh, okay, thank you so much, it's wonderful. So as they're walking, you can imagine this elderly woman, she's thinking to herself, let me give this young man some advice. So this is early on in Revelation. She says to him, young man, be careful. There's a very evil man who's come. His name is Muhammad. And all he's doing, he's trying to take us away from the religion of our forefathers. He's attacking our forefathers. He's doing this, and he's trying to destroy our way of life. So please, if you see him, turn away from him. Don't listen to him. Walk away from him. He's evil. And so you can only imagine the Prophet ﷺ is probably walking with her, smiling, listening. He didn't react. He's just carrying her belongings until they arrived at the destination. And he didn't say anything. She said to him, what's your name? He said, I'm Muhammad, the one who's the Prophet. And so she said to him, Muhammad, no way. There's no way that you're that Muhammad. That Muhammad is ugly, he's evil. You're handsome and you're tender and you're soft and you served me. There's no way that you're that same person. He said, that's who I am. She said, and what are you calling to? He said, I'm calling to La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. She says, if you are that Muhammad, then I say La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. One simple expression, he carried her belongings. Now take that and think about your neighbors. Think about your countless neighbors who need your help shoveling their snow or raking their leaves. The statistics say that more than 60% of Americans have not met Muslims on a one-to-one basis. Huge percentages of people in this country don't know Muslims on a personal level. And in large part, that's our fault. Because we're so engrossed in our own lives. And so the duty is very simple. Go out, engage people, connect with people. First and foremost, to attain Allah's love. Because that's how you attain Allah's love. And secondarily, it will open great doors for others to see Muslims. And once, by the way, and many people who are dealing with Islamophobia, and the studies show that the biggest way and the best way to diffuse Islamophobia is just dealing with Muslims on a one-on-one basis. And so we have it in our hands on the first and the most important thing, to attain Allah's love, and secondarily, to have that acceptance on earth. ثُمَّ يُوضَعْ لَهُ الْقَبُولُ فِي الْأَرْضِ, the Prophet says, then acceptance is placed on earth for you. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a people of service. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us a people who bring benefit to others. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uplift our condition, protect our families, protect our Islam and our Iman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rectify our affairs. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. Brothers and sisters, in closing, one of our great pious predecessors was Ali Zayn al-Abidin, who was the grandson of Sayyidina Ali, who was the great grandson of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ali Zayn al-Abidin in Medina, he was known greatly for his infaq. That anyone who came to him, at any time, he was the first one to help. If he was walking in the street, he was always looking for people he could help. If he saw a poor person on the side of the road, he was immediately the first person to rush, go down to their level and say, how can I help you? Not overstep them or walk over their heads or ignore them as if they're some sort of bench. So he was so known for his infaq. A great poet by the name of Al-Farazdaq, he wrote an entire poem about him. And one of the stanzas is very powerful. He says, مَا قَالَ لَا قَطُّ إِلَّا فِي تَشَهُّدِهِ وَلَوْلَا التَّشَهُّدُ لَكَانَتْ لَاؤُهُ نَعَمْ. He said, Ali Zayn al-Abidin never said no. And the only time he said la, no, was in his tashahhud, when he would say La ilaha illallah. There was no other time where he would say la, no. And if it weren't for the tashahhud, then all of his la would be na'am. Meaning that all he would know to say is yes. If you need my help, yes. Can I help you? Yes. How can I help you? Yes. Right? When Ali Zayn al-Abidin died, the people of Medina had come to a custom. They didn't know what the source was, but when they woke up, while he was there, when they woke up every morning, they would find bread on their doorsteps. Until the day Ali Zayn al-Abidin died, they woke up and there was no bread on the doorsteps. What they came to learn later on was from his servants, was that every single night, and he was a very dignified, respected member of society, he would go out every single night and he would walk to each house with a bushel of bread and he would place bread on each and every single doorstep. It was only after he died that they realized that he was the source of this for many, many years. Perhaps you may think to yourself, well, that's a distant example. These were great people. This is the grandson, the great-grandson of the Prophet ﷺ. Let me give you an example of someone who's still alive. And this is narrated to be by my father. And some of the elders here may know of this person. I'll give you the name in a second. But my father was narrating to me that one day, many years ago, he was invited to a wedding in Long Island. My father said, I was there and I knew no one there. Except the bride had asked me to come, so I went for her sake. So I was sitting there by myself, and one of the gentlemen came to me and said, brother, I see that you're by yourself. You know no one here. I wanted to introduce myself. He said, yes, come. So he says, brother, where are you from? So my father says, I'm from Egypt. He says, oh, you're Egyptian. Let me tell you about a wonderful Egyptian brother I know. Do you know Sayyid Amir? Do you know brother Sayyid Amir? So my father says, of course. Brother Sayyid Amir, one of my close friends, I know him very well. We've known each other for many years. He says, let me tell you a story about Sayyid Amir. And of course, for me, he's Ammu Sayyid Amir. I don't like to call him Sayyid Amir, but Ammu Sayyid Amir. He says, we started a masjid years and years ago here in Long Island, and we had just started the masjid. And it was our first Ramadan. And we went and we were looking for, we had just finished Taraweeh, and when Taraweeh was done, we looked at the masjid, and the masjid was a wreck. And so we thought to ourselves, hold on, we didn't plan for this. We need to clean the masjid. So they said, tomorrow we'll come together, we'll strategize to figure out how to clean the masjid. So they went home. The next day they came back and the masjid was spotless. So they said, who cleaned? They asked around, no one saying anything. Okay. The next day, third day, fourth day, every single day the masjid would be a wreck. They'd come back the next day and the masjid is clean. So until a group of them decided we have to figure out what's going on. So they parked their car in a distance, and they had a little stakeout. At 1 a.m., he says, we saw Brother Sayyid Amir coming in with a bucket full of cleaning products, and he would clean the masjid from top to bottom all night until Fajr. And he would leave before anyone came for Fajr al-Fajr. And this is Amr Sayyid Amir, who was he had a prestigious career as an engineer, and he was, in a social perspective, he was high in society. But he did something that no one knew about. No one knew about. And he did this seeking what? Just to serve for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just to bring benefit. And now an action that he did decades ago that no one knew about is now being mentioned on a minbar in front of thousands of people. Brothers and sisters, don't underestimate the power that you have in your own hands to serve people in society. To serve your own masjid, which needs all of your collective help, and to serve your neighbors, to serve your family, to serve your friends, to serve your classmates, to serve your co-workers. Let us become people of service. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to serve others. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place in our heart the love of service. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place in our heart the desire to serve others. To first and foremost, serve in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be good servants and to be good help to our parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are in service to our parents. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are in service to their families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are in service to their neighbors. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who are in service to society at large. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.